Mrs Hubbard gazed longingly at the trophy, mesmerised by its gleam under the spotlight that shone on the glass case in the centre of the room. Not even Sandra next door could burnish this to a brighter shine. Douglas had told her to stop wandering into the chamber off the main ballroom, but the gold statue held a special allure, drawing her in to marvel at its finely wrought magnificence every evening after dinner. She knew they couldn't hope to win it, of course. They were well past the age when they could flex and float through a foxtrot, but they might win its smaller cousin, the Over Sixties Swingers Cup. Together she and Douglas made a formidable team. There were those on Vic who said they didn't deserve to be here. Mrs Hubbard had overheard Pat Hughes in the post office telling Mrs Hay that the Hubbards only won the Vic Ballroom Dancing Championships by default after the McCullochs were kicked out for cheating. Pat had been lamenting the committee's decision to send the couple to the big competition in Edinburgh because, in her not-so-humble opinion, Anita and George Cunningham's quick-step was far superior. Mrs Hubbard felt her chest swell with righteous indignation. Quick-step indeed. What did Pat Hughes know about quick-steps? She had a pair of feet like the sandbags the council gave out during that big storm last year. Awful woman, and a dreadful gossip. By this, Mrs Hubbard meant that Pat wasn't very good at gossiping. Far too loose-lipped about her sources, that one. Mrs Hubbard would never divulge who had told her what, unless it didn't matter, or it verified the story, or if she forgot herself and said the name by accident, which seemed to happen surprisingly often. Yet outside of this very specific set of circumstances, a good gossip should abide by the golden rule: discretion, discretion, discretion. Or was that 3 rules? Mrs Hubbard wasn't sure. One thing she knew for certain, however, was that she deserved to be at the Foxtrot Oscars. Her whole senior citizenship had been building towards this moment, and she was going to savour every bloomin' second of it. Douglas, too, of course. He deserved to be here as well. But he had a cabinet full of lawn bowling trophies. This one, the Wee Cup, this was Mrs Hubbard's. Normally the anteroom was full of ladies doing the same thing as her. They'd meet here every night for a keek at the statue and the cups before retiring for cocktails. She was on her own tonight, though. The ladies must have been and gone. Douglas had made them late for dinner when he'd taken the blue pill instead of the pink one, and they'd had to wait for the tent in his trousers to go down, which was disappointing because he'd only brought 1 blue pill. What was he thinking? A single pill to last nearly a week. Maybe one of the other couples had taken some spares. Yon Tansy Greg's husband was bound to have a truckload of the things. She had a face like a squashed buttery, so he'd need them. Oh, Minty dearie, wash your uncharitable mind out with soap.